What do llamas do?
The llamas are just noisy, aren't they?
They're noisy eaters?
I'm sure every animal is pretty noisy when they eat.
Yeah.
You're noisy when you eat.
Well, right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back for another week of Brews with the Dudes podcast. I'm Jake.
I'm Donnie. And like
Yes, you
usual,
are.
we are 7 minutes behind.
Yeah. I know, it's amazing. Well, it actually just flipped over to 8. So it might have been like right on the cusp of turning to 8:08, but pretty much 8:07.
8:07 seems to be the time for some reason.
It's the magic number for a couple of the podcasts, but it has also been like 8:30, 8:45 and a few times.
9:05,
when
I think
the
once.
audio was really, really bad. So welcome back, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We've got quite a busy podcast today.
Very, very busy.
We've got a lot to share.
We have good beer. We have some
Yes.
history for it. We have pizza.
Mm-hmm.
Have some killer music to wrap everything up with.
Yeah.
And history.
And
like
a whole
just
bunch
of
more.
cars. Yeah, just all sorts of stuff going on tonight.
A lot of things to hit on. There's so many things that, like, these days we're having to take notes because otherwise I just don't remember any of it.
Yeah, now the struggle is,
Okay,
can
yeah.
we read our notes?
Well, I can read mine. Can you read my handwriting?
Maybe. My eyes are shit, though.
Yeah, you want to show the people just how bad we write.
Yeah.
And I do a lot of writing for work.
Can you read that?
So it's not a good reflection. Yeah, so let's jump right into it because we have so much to cover. This might be like a 4-hour Joe Rogan-esque kind of podcast.
I gotta be
It
up
won't
at,
be, don't worry.
I gotta be up at 5 for work, so cutoff is like 10.
So it's funny because, okay, we got pizza we're going to be talking a little bit about
God.
tonight. And we're going to be committing the cardinal sin of podcasting. We're actually going to be eating on the podcast.
Yes.
And the funny thing is now with our audio so dialed in, having such good equipment.
You'll pick up everything.
Yeah, so we're going to sit back when we're doing that. That's going to take a little practice getting that figured out. But anyway, let's start with the beer.
Start with the beer? Okay.
So
I see you brought glasses, so that's exciting.
I did, yes, because there's 2 different kinds. So one of them. So what's funny is like they're crowlers. So we always end up picking one up kind of based on our own taste, or we do it for the other person, kind of knowing what their palate is.
Or strictly off the
all
alcohol content.
Precisely. And I don't know where that lands as far as Oh, wait. 7.5 ABV.
Ooh.
And 5.9. So, Donnie is a little more of a stout guy.
Yes.
I like
my
stouts.
I like my porters,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff.
I am a little more of an IPA, kind of pale ale type dude. That's a little more in my region. So what we end up doing week after week is we either pick up something that's more in our taste or we reciprocate with getting something for the other person, but we haven't done that in a while.
Or we just try something really weird and then we both hate it and it is what it is.
I don't know if we've hated anything yet.
That whiskey aged beer,
Oh,
that was
God.
so
That
strong.
Well, it was a Scotch ale.
Yeah.
It was a Scotch ale that, some Scotch ales are done right and some aren't.
That was one of them.
That was one of them. That just wasn't quite right. Okay, so anyways, we got Hoops Brewing. That's who we're featuring this week. They are local to the Duluth area. There's kind of an interesting story behind the brewery, and I don't know it.
Neither do I. That's how prepared we are.
I think there was the lead brewer, or it might have even been the dude Hoops. That might be his last name. I'm not
Maybe he
positive.
likes basketball.
He used to work for Fitkers. They used to be a thing, and then I'm not going to go into the details on Fitkers because then I'm going to start complaining about ownership.
Yeah.
And split off anyways, did his own thing, and they've opened up Hoops Brewing, which is superb. So what I grabbed is a pair of crowlers, because that's kind of all they have at this time. They don't really have small cans as far as I know.
That is a small can.
It's
That's a can of beer.
Well, what it is it's efficient.
Yeah, exactly.
So we don't have to crack open multiple beers.
Yeah, you don't have to get off the couch.
Exactly.
It's one trip and you're done.
So we grabbed the number 21 IPA and the 88 Stout. They don't have cool names. That's my only complaint about them so far.
The 88 Stout?
The 88 Stout.
Is it called the 88 Stout because it took 87 tries and then they finally got one? They're like, this is worth selling.
Maybe. maybe somebody can let us know. So I figure you're probably going to want to start with the Stout.
Oh, yeah.
So crack that mother trucker open, and we'll feast on that one first.
Try to go away from the mics.
Yeah.
It's still noisy.
It's still noisy. Sorry, guys, if you're on headphones. Yeah.
A mess.
You don't know how to pour a beer.
Nope. I know how to drink
Nobody
it, though.
showed you how to pour a beer?
No. You know I haven't had a father figure in my life.
That's
yeah.
hope you guys can see this.
So I'm just gonna
That's
wait
a
patiently.
Beautiful self burn. No, man, you just tilt. Although that is
Oh.
really pretty. That's one of my favorite things about porters and stouts is like the curling,
The foam.
Well, and even like if you have Guinness and you pour a Guinness with the Guinness draught and it's got the little widget inside of it and it like does the tumble. I love that.
I should probably have pizza shortly after this. Why I wait patiently for my. Oh, that's how you do it.
Yeah,
That makes
it's
more
not
sense.
Perfect, but you know,
It's
it
not
works.
perfect. Look at the two differences. You can drink yours.
I can. I'm gonna let mine sit for a minute though, because it does have a big head. All right, there's a joke. There's a perverse joke in there somewhere. All right, so that's the brewskis for tonight. We'll talk a little bit more about them once we're actually able to drink them. Normally, we're able to drink our beers right away, but not tonight, apparently.
That's all good.
So we're going to be eating pizza again, and part of the reason we do this is because this is a buddy of ours who is opening up is sort of like a mini pizzeria kind of based out of his own place, right?
It's kind of a hobby that turned into a side gig.
Yeah.
Essentially.
A really good one.
A really, really good.
Yeah.
And to top all of it off, they're putting, I believe it was basil on your pizza, right from the plant.
Oh, yeah.
Bam.
Right. Does he do like that? What's that dude who's just like...
Salt Bay?
Salt dude?
Salt Bay? Salt dude?
Yeah, it is something Bay, right? Because
Salty?
he's like attractive.
I don't know.
Yeah, because
I'm
all
not
the chicks are
attracted to
just
dudes.
like...
Do you find them attractive?
Yeah, actually,
Okay.
he's stunning.
I don't know.
I don't know what to fuck it. I don't know.
All
what
I know
his
is he
name
goes like that, and then it's
Yeah.
like $40 for a steak or more.
Precisely.
however
So
much.
Marty is sort of trying to achieve that, right? Maybe.
I don't care.
So
The
what we
pizza's
have,
great, so he can do what he wants.
So yeah, he's it's kind of cool because it's just like this little side hustle that is very much turning into a success, and he like schedules. He sort of schedules it into his evening. So the nights that he's cooking pizza, he has slots that he cooks them for with sort of a target completion point. So like we said, we need our pizzas by 7:45 so we can get back here in time and be 7 minutes late. And that's kind of how it works is he fills up his evening.
Yeah.
So he's been doing it out of his place, and it's going so well, I would not be surprised if before too long he's going to start looking at a actual
he
spot.
moved out in the basement.
Yeah.
The project expands.
Yeah, pretty much. But it is funny because when you tell somebody that they're cooking out of a basement, you go like,
He's not.
okay.
It's out of his kitchen.
I know. But it's like cooking out of their house. They're sort of like what is that all? No, this is amazing. So
Very good pizza.
we'll put a link to his Facebook page in the posts. I'm not sure if we've snuck it in there this time. We got a tag in the original post.
Yes, I know.
Got to
it's
make sure we
tagged,
get
but I
that
don't
in the
know if it's there.
description.
You can
Yeah.
find him on Facebook. It's Marty's New York Style Pizza. Correct?
Pizzeria.
Pizzeria. Fancy words. This is why I just work on shit for a living.
Yep. Ooh.
Is that good? I gotta wait a little bit longer.
Oh no, you're good to go, man. You want me to pour that for you?
Would you?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Yeah, man. You just gotta do the tilt.
Ah,
You gotta lean back. And just lean back.
Is that the JDM slant?
lean back? I don't know. Isn't that like a Fat Joe song or something?
Yes.
Here you go.
Which I think it was in a Need for Speed game, if I remember correctly.
Probably there's a Splizash in there still, so if you want to have that. Yeah, so check out Marty's New York Style Pizzeria. Think about scheduling that for one of the nights that he's cooking. We can't recommend it enough.
Yeah.
And I'm starving, so we should probably crack that open.
So what did you get? 'Cause I know what I got.
I think I got the marg. I think I got the margarita, and then we got the barbecue chicken.
Okay, so he did tell me they messed up your pizza.
Oh, perfect.
But in a good way.
Yeah.
There's like 5 different kinds of cheeses on there.
So it was accidentally did what was it, the little cousin or whatever it's called?
the little cousin.
The nephew?
The nephew.
Nephew pizza.
Yeah,
So it's
so-
like a marg meets nephew pizza?
Yeah, so there's
It's a hybrid.
bunch more cheese on there. I went with a barbecue
Good.
pizza.
So I'm not going to be shitting for a week.
They're cloggy up nice.
That's
and
okay.
good.
I'm 37. You start having those
I
problems.
know, with all the cheese and then the beer to counter it, your body just might be normal.
Maybe. Or I'm trying to think of a good analogy. It's like if you roll rocks down a creek that goes, on a hill.
Is that?
It's like
that
what
the
I'm saying
motion
is
for a hill?
water and solids will be falling out. It's not going to just change the entirety of it, of the consistency. You know, it's going to be the mixture of the two of them. I don't know. Let's crack open this pizza.
See
These
what's on
poor
top.
people have to listen to my bowel movements.
So that's yours,
Ugh,
but I'm gonna
That
steal a
looks
slice
amazing.
off.
Yeah, by all means.
I'm gonna take this one.
So now's a good time to go into a deep, lots of details about something that requires a lot of talking.
See, this is when we should have a commercial break, but we're not sponsored, so you guys are just stuck with watching us eat pizza.
Yeah. Okay, that's tremendous. Oh my god. Okay, do you want to talk about history? Yeah. Okay. All right, so moving on.
God, that's
history.
so good.
Oops.
Oh no, you
I don't know
ruined
why I
it.
always screw this
You
up.
ruined it.
Sorry guys, we got to back this up.
Oh,
All of the other ones I
couple
got it
more.
correct.
Hey,
That should be the first
there
one.
you go. So, first off, who do you think that is? You had to take a guess.
An Italian gentleman,
Okay. More educated guess?
Enzo Ferrari.
It is Enzo Ferrari. On it was October 5th, 1919. A 21-year-old Enzo Ferrari entered
that's
his first
incredible.
race.
No shit.
His first race. It was a hill climb that he finished 11th in. So he was driving I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce the vehicle because I can't. It's a CMN in Milan, and he was a test and racing car driver in 1919.
So it's this one?
Yes.
Is that his race
Yep,
car?
that's what he was racing in.
That's so crazy.
It's badass. So
I mean,
the following year, he ended up moving to Alpha. And then after World War II in 1947, he released his first racing car by himself, which is the 125S. But yeah, that's what he was doing a hill climbing.
man, that's
I can't
incredible.
imagine doing a hill climb in that.
so this is actually the car here. Oh yeah, that's Enzo right there.
That's him driving.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, well, and Enzo's obviously like the creator of Ferrari. He's the godfather of it. He was around through like all the big periods of history with.
If you don't know who Enzo
Ferrari.
Ferrari is, because I know some people aren't into cars that are watching our show, if you've ever seen a calendar of cars or posters or anything like that, odds are you've seen his cars or his inspiration. Obviously, he has been making cars for a while, but
Yeah, because he dropped dead.
yeah,
Yeah,
that
he'd be
happens.
old as hell.
But Ferrari does make arguably the most pretty cars on the planet.
You know, in terms of supercars, like yeah, they're genuinely elegant. That's one of the things I appreciate the most about them. Because I mean, Lamborghinis like fun, like they're outrageous, and you should view them as such.
I mean, they're no Pagani.
Well, Pagani is yeah. I mean, we could go on a tangent about all the different supercar brands. Koenigsegg being probably my favorite, but that's the thing is like Ferrari is just gorgeous and amazing performance, and from what I've heard, it's always been very spirited. You drove a 458, didn't you?
Yep, my wife and I went out to Vegas. Would have been 3 years ago, actually. She was pregnant with Roman, and yeah, we rented we weren't supposed to. We were renting a more family-oriented Ferrari, but like, oh, we don't have it, so we just bumped you up to a 458. I hope you're okay with that. Okay. So
That's incredible.
so we rented a 458 for 4 hours and went through the canyons and stuff like that, and
Wow, I didn't
It
realize
was-
you were trying to rent something else and they bumped you up.
we were
Like, that's so cool.
I think it was the California. There's some more. It had a back seat in it. It was a little bit cheaper. Is the reason why we went with it. It was like $150 or $200 less than the 458. But then they just bumped us up. I'm like, why would I argue
You
that?
can't argue with that.
I'm like, I just wanted to say I drove a Ferrari, and now you give me a 458 and said, here, go have fun.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
The guy's like, don't put it in race mode. Just drive it in the normal mode. I'm like, that's
You
fine.
mean that thing wasn't like detuned?
No.
or anything? Like
No,
it was.
He showed me the toggle switches and how to like switch it between full auto and the paddle shifters. And other than that, he's like, just don't crash it. We had to get
That's amazing.
we had to get permission from our insurance company to drive it, and like we had to prove that we had I think it was like $200,000 or $300, $100,000 coverage for the car and all that.
Holy shit, dude.
So we had a special note from our car insurance, but yeah, it was awesome, and that thing went 0 to like 120 quicker than I could even think. But it didn't feel like you're doing 120.
Well, no. I mean, isn't that the beauty of it?
Yeah, it felt like you're just doing 55 accelerating onto the highway.
Yeah, well, and I mean, like a good motorcycle will do the same thing, especially with like these sport bikes these days that are they're basically super bikes. with 200 horsepower on a motorcycle. And it's the same thing. You look down and you don't even realize that you're doing like 180 miles an hour. Even the early Busas were like that.
Yeah, I remember looking over at my wife like, "Hey, just hang on, I'm gonna get on it," and just like that, just gone, so freaking
Goes
quick.
into labor.
I almost went into labor.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. If you ever get the chance, go rent an exotic car. So that's the 125S.
Yeah, so
That was his first released race car that he released.
dear God. Well, I'd say like compared to
Gorgeous.
the other thing that looks like a bunch of
Gorgeous.
like 55-gallon drums welded together, that's quite the upgrade.
1947. You could have had that, and you bought the shoebox. Oh,
Oh, I could have had that. Would you have helped finance the other? I don't know, whatever that's worth minus 6,000, because that's what I paid for the shoebox.
so probably 1.2 million.
1.2. That's probably a
give or
hell of a
take.
lot more than that.
Oh, probably.
Yeah. In case you guys don't know, the shoebox, if you're not following our other channel, you might not know what the shoebox is. So in 1949 to 1951, Ford rolled out their updated version of their car, which is they considered it like the slab side. It didn't have like the modular body parts where like the fenders were, like the rear fenders had the big haunches that would detach and all that stuff. Like this is a much more complete body. And they call it the shoebox because it's kind of shaped like a shoebox, apparently. Which I don't look at it and see a square, but I mean that's what they've called it since day one. So
It kind of
that's what
smells
it
like
is.
feet, but that might just be from the previous owners.
The old man or us.
Or you.
Yeah, so it's a 1950 Ford two-door sedan, which is confusing. But yeah. So to think that in the same era,
They were
that
making
thing
that.
was being built. But then again, you could say the same thing for today, where you're looking at like the new Impala and comparing it
to literally
to
anything else.
Zonda.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, it just like that's the start.
Beautiful.
That's the start of a legacy.
Yeah, it really is. Well, hey, there's one other thing I want to actually do another shout out here because now that we've talked about Marty and his incredible pizza, which we will continue to comment on as the night goes on. The margarita is tremendous.
You want barbecue?
Yeah, let's actually try that chicken barbecue. Yeah. Should we just set that on the LS?
You tuck that.
Oh, yeah.
I'll deal with this.
Okay. All right. So, one of our good buddies, he lives out in the Carolinas. We alluded to him and Village Customs did a sort of a how-to on doing a S10 front clip on a shoebox Ford, which is what we did. We chopped the whole front end of this car off and welded an S10 front end on, and we used sort of that video as a reference to put together our guide on how to do it, which is super helpful. So we combined that with our know-how, and we had a friend come out who also assisted with some of the measuring stuff. Because, I mean, really, with this thing measure 16 times.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to use my eyes to read the tape measure.
Yeah. So this is actually Dan from Greasy Boy Customs. He finally just got some promotional stuff done for his shop. So he's been hanging out with Josh Joyce from Village Customs for ages. And if you know what Village Customs is, then you kind of know the style of cars that they build. It's a lot of like hot rods, like traditional hot rods, rat rods, just cool cars that are slammed to the ground. And that's kind of his style too. So he sent us a bunch of decals and whatnot. Because we were just visiting about that and giving him kudos on his design and whatnot. So,
The guy's an artist when it comes to building cars.
yeah, he builds some really cool shit.
Really cool shit.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys are looking for a shop ever that can do some of this work. I mean, realize that he is out in Smithfield, North Carolina. That's quite the haul. But these guys are actually worth getting in touch with, even just to find a platform. He just sold a couple of 60s Ford pickups. And
He's super friendly, too. If you have any questions, he has no problem helping you out and all that.
Yeah, Dan's good shit. I mean, we had so many questions just for, like, how'd you do the steering linkage and all that stuff on the shoebox?
Where do you cut?
Yeah, exactly. So awesome, dude. So thanks a lot, Dan, for sending us some decals. It's awesome. We're gonna throw them up on the door for the electrical box in the back. There is one of our decal spots, and then I'll slap one on probably the shitbox race car, and maybe even one in the Subaru. So thanks a lot, man, and looking forward to at least got a few new builds that are coming through. So it should be exciting to see what they come up with.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, man. I don't know. What do you want to jump into? We've got our list. We've got the usuals. We've got our.
Oh, that's a G.
What'd you think it was?
I couldn't.
It's
A
like
B?
genitalia.
I was thinking maybe it was a B. I'm like, breezy boy. I'm like, who's breezy? Oh,
Greasy.
greasy. That's a G. Yeah, let's go to dad moments.
Let's go to a dad moment.
You gotta
All
try
right.
this barbecue pizza.
Yeah, it looks amazing. Well, this is Sweet Baby Ray's, right?
Yeah.
That's the
God,
sauce.
it's so freaking good. All right, so my dad moment. This is my little dude.
Did I just grab a double? Oh, I did, yeah. I was like, that's the biggest piece.
You gotta stay committed.
Well, I'm in now.
Yep, you're all in it. So my dad moment. I've never seen this. So I have two kids, my daughter and then Roman, my son. And my daughter is very. How should I put this? She's all out. Like she's always committed. She's very crazy. She likes to run around. She's loud. She's dangerous. She likes to climb on top of the playhouse. All that fun stuff. And my son's a lot more reserved. He'll try stuff, but he's just now starting to kind of. You okay over there?
No.
You okay? Do you want a bib? I have paper towels. Would you like
This is so good.
would you like a moist towelette? Mm-hmm. Okay,
You have one?
I don't have that. I could spit on your hands.
Oh. Oh my god, can you imagine how disgusting that'd be to see? Watch a grown man spit into another grown man's hands.
Hey, some people would pay top dollar to see that,
And then
right?
you're cleaning your hands with somebody's saliva in the middle of a pandemic, no less. Tremendous.
So anyways, lately my boy's been kind of stepping out a little bit more, which is nice. So we went to the playground the other day, and he climbed up this little monkey bar thing all by himself, like just no fear. Just
That's
tackled
awesome.
it, and it was so cool to see. Because normally he kind of like he looks like he wants to do it, but doesn't feel comfortable.
Oh, right. Like, he's looking at it and he's like, this could hurt.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, he's falling down the stairs.
His Harper's
so-
like, follow me, and she's just sprinting across and all that.
Oh, man.
So to see him tackle that, and like he was swinging on the slides a little bit more and stuff like that, and just being a little bit more hectic.
Yeah, that's
it was
awesome,
it was
man.
nice just to see him kind of grow up a little bit more and just not be afraid of everything.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know, my little guy's starting to kind of get into his own as well, and it's exciting to see. You know, it's like they sort of take off the training wheels.
Mm-hmm.
He's starting to like jump off of everything imaginable, and he's like, you know, doing somersaults and all this stuff, climbing everything.
Yeah,
He's about 2 years old, 3 months.
Yeah, the only downside was, so this is the first time I saw him do it, and then he went and went to go do it again, and his sister was about 4 feet behind him, and you could tell like she was like hurry up and was gonna run past him. So I had to just tell her like, you don't push him, you let him be. Like he's stepping out of his box right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, and your daughter is so funny because she's a little girl that'll sit in the back seat of the car, back seat of the E30. You got a 86 BMW E30, which is an awesome little sports car. And she'll be yelling at you to go faster, which I think is so funny.
She's gotten to drive that car a couple of times. By drive, we're in a.
Are you sure you want to announce that to the people?
I don't give a shit. By drive, I mean like open parking lot. She sits on my lap and she steers and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And every time we've done it twice now, and both times she's asked like, "Let's go pick up mom." No. You don't understand this, kid. A, you're not supposed to be doing this, and B, we're sure as hell not going on the road.
Yeah, we're not leaving this parking lot.
Yeah, she's like, I want to go faster. I'm like, no, we're doing 10, 15 miles an hour. It's like, we're just going to putz around in first gear. Like, you don't need to go fast.
Well, right, yeah, exactly. It's so funny. I know my little man's going to be the same way. Like, it's so funny because I'll take him out in the Subaru. And so I've got a turbo Subaru. Makes really good power. It makes some noise, too. And that's just his favorite thing in the world. He loves when it starts. Because, you know, you go from sitting in a quiet car to, you know. And when I go fast, especially like in entrance ramp onto the highway, when I get onto it a little bit, it's like pushing you back in the seat. You can hear him just squealing in the back. It's like we're just turning out a couple of little motorheads, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I can't wait today when I come home from work and she's got her bike all torn apart. And what are you doing?
Trying to figure out how to make it go faster.
Yeah, like the gearing's not right on this. I got to fix it. Like, whatever. Just put the tools back.
Yeah, right.
Is that my 10 mil?
That's where all my 10 mils
better
went.
put that back,
Your
kid.
daughter's going to have them all like under her bed or something. It's like, oh, I don't know. It's really common for our dad.
For my birthday, it's just going to be a box of all the 10 mil sockets that she took.
Tremendous.
So what's your dad moment?
I got a good dad moment. I've been teasing about it for a while.
Was it construction?
Maybe. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Okay, so in like the last, I don't know, 5 podcasts, I've been alluding to a project that I've been working on. So our house is super old. It's from like 1906, 1907, and it's had a couple of great owners who have done some good work to it, and it's had a lot of owners that have done some half-assed work to it because it wasn't a terribly valuable house to begin with. It's not huge. It's a 3-bedroom and 3-bedroom, 1 bath for now. And so, you know, it's like a lot of people's starter homes. And so like starter homes tend to get like the brunt of everybody's like learning curve.
Yeah, they're like, I could fix this, I think.
Yeah. And that's why you end up with walls built in front of windows and all those kind of like stellar moments.
Or the fact that we had to take out a wall to get your washer and dryer into the basement.
Oh man, we didn't have to take out a wall, but
We took out a wall. Did we take out the wall by the stairs? It was not as like a supporting wall.
No, it was not a supporting. It wasn't even a wall technically. It was like slats.
Either
I don't know why they had them
we
there.
had to take stuff out.
I think they had it there to keep dogs from, because they had like a little containment thing down there where like a dog kennel in the basement. It was weird. But
I don't get it.
anyway, so yeah, old goofy little house, and so I've redone a handful of rooms in the house now, and we've always kind of like left the master bedroom because I want to do a lot with it, and so my daughter was due, or yeah, she was due. Obviously, she's born now.
She's born now.
She was due in the mid to end of September, and sort of the timeline is creeping up. We had some money in reserves, and we're like, okay, let's get a lot of these things done because we know that like sort of this is our window to complete it. And it sort of dawned on us like, oh, if we don't do the master bedroom now,
You'll never get to it.
when are we going to get to
Ever.
it? Are we going to take our 2 kids and stuff them in the same room and then us move into one of their rooms? Like, it's possible, but it's
You make one
years
of them sleep
out.
in the bathtub.
Right. Or I do that, and one of them sleeps with my wife. But yeah, it's like we would be such a ways out from doing that, and I just couldn't stand the way the room looked because it was really old. I mean, somebody did like a super textured wall. Super
yeah,
textured,
that's
you know, it's got like the
right. Yeah.
lath and plaster walls, and they troweled and made like this crazy textured look on
Why
it.
was that even a thing?
I don't.
I never get that.
I think because it's forgiving as well. Like, you know, it's
How is that forgiving?
it's forgiving if you need to hide damage or you need to hide
So
issues.
what were they
or
hiding?
You hide imperfections.
What were
You
they
know,
hiding?
imperfections, like because plaster is not a perfect material. You know,
No.
it's like where you put drywall out, and drywall is by no means
Perfect.
It's drywall is actually kind of an awful material, but it's super cheap because it's so weak. It's
Yeah.
awful by that regard. Whereas plaster and lath is actually like super strong. It's basically like cement on your wall. But people have done both smooth plaster, and then they've also done, you know, like the textured stuff. There's a million different ways they've done it because they've been doing it forever. They've been using plaster forever. But in this house, I think it was a lot of like kind of covering up, you know, issues that were going on. And then also it was just sort of the style of the era because it is like an early 19th century house. So anyways, it was old and it was shitty and I didn't really like it. And I wanted to give the room sort of a really fresh look to it because every other room that I've touched so far has smooth walls. It has new colors, new paints, brand new doors. I put new oak doors in. Did carpeting, redid all the carpeting in all those rooms and stuff, redid some trim work, just a ton of like millwork and stuff like that, and lights. But the master still looked like dog shit. So what I'm going to show you guys is a few before pictures, during pictures, and then a video that's going to loop a couple of
took a
times.
video?
Yeah, I actually
Nice.
did a video of it, kind of a walkthrough. It's a small room. It's not a very masterful master bedroom, but you know, what I did to it was to try and give it like, you know, okay, so it's kind of the era of the early 19th century, so a very Gatsby style kind of works with it. So I'm not 100% done with this thing yet, but it looks pretty grand for what it is. So this is like kind of what it looked like before. You can see the crazy texture in the walls. So, and that's wide angle, you know, so we're cutting it, we're gutting it. Actually, I set these pictures to scroll through a little too fast.
I was going to say,
you can
like,
see
what are
all
we
the
looking at?
texture
And
on
it's the
it.
next picture. It's like a movie.
Crazy drywall stuff. Oh, no, just wait. Like, there's an actual movie.
The floor looks nice.
Yeah, right?
It turned out really nice.
Hit new electrical behind the trim and all that kind of stuff. And so I did all of my own millwork. I redid the bed or the closet and did new built-ins and stuff like that. And sort of this is the final outcome.
Nice. Yeah, that's way better than what you had in there.
Yeah, so no more texture on the walls. And I wanted to do a wainscoting on the walls and kind of give it a little bit more grand look. And it splits the black between the white and it gives it like this really elegant look. So, you know, you'll see kind of, there's like a big, beautiful mill piece that I did on the top. I did that myself. I redid installed the chandelier and the medallion above it and mounted a TV on the wall and added electrical outlets in a bunch of the different walls. I went from having 2 outlets to 6 outlets in that room.
See, that's the way to do it.
And they're hidden behind
about
the
old
baseboards. So it's all brand new 20 amp too. So I ran a whole new circuit all the way up there specifically for 20 amp. So that way we're going to actually do a fireplace on the wall just below the television. And I'm going to build my own like framing and mantle and everything like that for it. So it'll all look really pretty. But yeah, I mean, it came out really good.
I think it looks fantastic. That's one thing I love about having a house, but I also hate is I don't know housework that well. Like I can do it, but I have to kind of learn as I go along.
Yeah.
But that's also why I like it though. Is like I'm learning stuff.
Oh yeah,
By
I
having
get
an
that.
old house, it's like you're constantly learning like how to fix things, how to update things, all that kind of stuff. And it sucks because sometimes you spend money you don't need to spend, or you spend time you don't need to spend. But at the same time, you're like, oh, this is all useful knowledge to have.
Oh, totally. Well, and
or you're buying tools that you need.
It's always
nice
a learning
to have
process because, you know, I mean, I've done a fair amount of stuff in my time. I grew up in a house that we were building. Like we moved from a house into our cabin and then built a massive house off the back of our cabin. So I was there for every step of it, all the way from doing the foundation work all the way up to, you know, finishing the interior of it. And I was pretty young, but I was there for every bit of it, and I helped with what I could, what I was competently able to do, which wasn't much, but
Hold the flashlight.
yeah, you know, and I
Hand me
helped
the
out.
screwdriver.
I ran some screws into the wall. I mean, I helped hammer some things down.
Got sworn at a couple of times.
A lot of times. I was a little bit of a nightmare when I was younger. And so that gives you like perspective. You can see it. You're comfortable with living in a construction zone. It's not that big of a deal. And that's a huge thing. A lot of people, they can't tolerate living in construction zones, and they get really antsy and they start half-assing stuff to get it done. Whereas like I lived in a construction zone for the majority of my adolescence, and you know, you just get comfortable with it, and then you see the process, and when it is done, when it comes to fruition, it's amazing because you're like, oh my god, all of this work that went into it, this is what you get.
This is the payoff, yeah.
So entering into work like, you know, in a room like this where I literally touched everything imaginable.
Including yourself, or
including myself. Oh, that's strange.
it
I'm
stopped.
going to skip back and we're going to start this over again. Yeah, it's supposed to be on a loop. Actually, let's see if I can change that.
It did loop. It played like 2 or 3 times.
No, that's I won't go into details, but it's yeah. Yeah, so basically like I skim coated the walls, installed new electrical, punched some holes to run some cords, run the boxes correctly, made my own trim work, my own mill work, redid the floors, stripped them down to bare, sealed, stained, all that stuff. Did all the electrical for like the lights, and in the closet, the plaster was so shitty that I actually just put drywall over the face of it. So I took out what was getting really bad, and then I screwed over the top of that, and then did all of the seams and all that kind of stuff.
It's a closet. At the end of the day, it's storing clothes.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah. So yeah, it turned out pretty good. So that's the remodel.
That's
I've been
fantastic.
alluding to
Yeah,
for
that's
a
the
while.
first time I've seen it. And I'm a little jelly.
Yeah, it turned out nice. It's amazing. Like when you redo a room, I used to be embarrassed by it, and every time that I went and I sat in my room, I was just sort of like, I didn't love it. It had like a metallic orange wall as an accent wall behind us. It had super textured walls, super textured ceiling. The floor wasn't sealed correctly. We took the quarter round off because we removed old carpet. When we first moved into this place, it was
That's
bad.
right. I forgot about the carpet that you had to remove.
Was so nasty. So it was kind of in a state of disrepair for the last, 9 years. We've been here for 9 years now. So it's amazing to be kind of done with it almost. I've got a little more millwork to do and a little more decorative stuff with the wainscoting, but
it's not bad.
Turned out pretty good.
But it's livable, and now you feel happy when you get into the room. You're like, holy shit,
dude, I feel so good.
This looks fantastic.
Yeah, we both talk about that every time we walk into the room. Just like, oh my god, this is a completely different. It's like a new room. It's like a new house.
Hell yeah! So you want to come get my attic done for me then?
I would be happy to help you.
Yes, thank you.
This is my jam. I love this stuff, dude.
I enjoy working with it. Like I said, for me, it's the knowledge. Because I didn't get that opportunity to learn off of somebody else growing up. So my stepdad, who's an awesome dude, who knows a lot of random shit. He knows he doesn't know the language, but I can't remember what country it's from. Urdu. He knows about that kind of shit. He knows space and movies and all that kind of stuff. Brilliant dude. Can't hang up the shelf. So that's the trade-off.
I mean, some people are just like that. They just don't know, but they have knowledge in other things.
Yeah, I get phone calls like, "Hey, can you help me with a project?" I'm like, "Oh no, what is it? Can you put the AC unit in the window?" Like, yeah, I'll be over it.
Well, what's funny is I don't advertise that I know how to do a lot of this stuff.
Because then everybody asks you, "Hey, can you help me do this stuff?"
Pretty much. Even with car related stuff, I mean, the only thing that I advertise is what people can see.
I have lost count how many times I get bugged. Hey, do you work on cars?
Yeah, well, word spread.
Always hesitant.
Because you've done some side work, and now everyone's like, hey,
I know a guy.
You're way cheaper than the dealership. Can you help out?
You know what you're doing. Just fix this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I got another side job I got to freaking look at now when I get back from training. My buddy sent me a text. He's like, hey, what are you doing tonight?
Tonight?
Busy. I'm like, it's garage night. What do you want? He's like, one of my wheels is smoking on the highway. What do I do? I'm like, well,
stop driving.
Yeah, call a tow truck. Oh, you think I could limp at home? I'm like, no, call a tow truck.
No, especially if you're on the highway.
Pull over. I'm like, you probably have a stuck caliper or maybe a wheel bearing that's starting to seize up.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe you could try and make it through the city, but don't take the risk.
He was in
on the
Island
highway.
Lake.
Oh boy.
He's like, yeah, you think I can make it? No, you can't make it home.
No, you're going to kill somebody.
I know you don't want to spend the money because you've been laid off all summer, but
yeah,
get a tow truck.
Jesus. Yeah, man. I mean, it's one of those things we talked earlier. I don't remember which podcast it was, but we talked about the value of skill.
Probably
and
the one with
how
the bad
well
audio.
that pays you off. No, it was way before that.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It was.
So we were on a single mic, single USB mic.
We were huddled like a bunch of Boy Scouts around a fire. Just one little mic sitting there and trying to get audio to work.
Yeah, and what we were talking about was by having knowledge, it pays you back.
It does. Whether it's side work or just simply saving money by working on your own shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if you think about it, then that sort of almost adds to your yearly income because you're saving money on whatever the task is. Well, it has a monetary value.
Like a few weeks ago, before I got in trouble with my HR department, I took 4 days. I took 4 days off.
You gotta stop hitting on your supervisor.
He's not that cute. With a name like Randy.
If you hear the name Randy, what do you think of?
I think of Trailer Park Boys, despite not seeing Trailer Park Boys.
Wow, nice. See, I always go straight to South Park.
Oh, okay, I can see that.
Yeah, Randy Marsh, man. I always go straight to Randy Marsh.
It's at least
Integrity Farms, man. You don't know because you don't watch South Park.
No, I don't. I should.
You're missing out, dude.
I miss everything.
Yeah. Well, hey, let's talk about something.
Okay. Hey, that's a horse.
It's a lot of horses.
Yeah.
They're Broncos.
Are you sure they're not Mustangs? That one looks like a Mustang.
I don't know what it is with Ford and horses.
I don't know. Lack of creativity.
Look at that. Look at that. That's a lack of creativity.
Oh, the thing's fantastic.
So what are you talking
beautiful.
about? You drive a fucking Forester.
Yeah, and?
You're going to criticize Ford for lack of creativity, and you drive a fucking Forester?
I also drive an old BMW. And I look
That's not a lack of creativity.
I look at an old Volkswagen bus.
Yeah.
I don't drive it. I just stand there and make noises.
Man. So I love this thing. I've been super excited watching like the renderings, and once they started putting out prototypes, a few of the prototypes were hideous.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing some
They
of
were
them. They're
terrible.
like, I think Ford actually heard those reviews and like, oh, okay, we'll work on this.
And I think the manufacturers, at least ones that are worth a shit, are starting to pay attention to
little
when designers are making their own versions of their renderings.
No, it's like the new Z coming out. They made a manual. They're like, oh wait, people still want a manual gearbox.
Yeah,
Cool.
exactly. Which we'll talk about today as well.
Yep.
Because I have some really cool comparative pictures to kind of
that's right.
carry on the conversation that we've been having about the Z car and sort of our opinion on it and what we're hoping to see out of it. There's somebody who put together really good side-by-side photos, so we can actually compare how much of this is a compliment to the original Z cars.
Nice. So yeah, that does look amazing. I would drive. I don't know if I'd drive that or a Jeep though. I still like the look of a Jeep, even though Jeeps haven't changed their design since like the 70s.
Right.
You know, they made a Jeep and they're like, we'll just keep with that. We're done.
Yeah, they're fairly similar.
It's just the headlight. The front end changes a little bit, but still that kind of boxy look.
Yeah, the newest version is huge. That's the only thing is
Yeah.
it's giant compared to like the CJ7 I think, which just dwarfs it. But what I love about the Bronco, actually there's 3 different versions of it, and if you look at the stats on these things, like kind of what the components are, these things are actually really well outfitted.
Really?
Like they're pretty serious.
So
I think-
Ford's actually going to produce a good vehicle.
I guess so. I mean,
Nice.
they have 3 different versions that, like, one of them I think is pretty hardcore. They've got like a 4-door, a 2-door, and then there was something else.
The one that comes with a 4-cylinder.
EcoBoost? I can't remember. I think they're a 3.5 EcoBoost engine, which is actually a pretty serious motor. Direct injection, twin turbo, V6. Yeah, they're pretty gnarly. So yeah, one of them is like it has everything that you can think of built into it. It's I don't have the specs in front of me, but they're really well outfitted, and I got a feeling they'll be pretty impressive out on the trails and shit.
Yeah, I have a feeling this is gonna be a hot seller. Like I
Yeah.
said, I think they look gorgeous. And as far as like classic SUVs that have kind of been reinvented, I'd put this up there with the FJ.
Oh yeah,
The FJ Cruiser I think is super cool.
I know the FJ was really fun.
And this kind of looks like if an FJ and a Jeep had a kid, you get this Bronco.
Oh yeah, it definitely does. And I see like the styling cues that sort of pay homage to the original one, to the
Yeah.
very first. I mean, obviously,
Which
like
is
the very
nice.
first Bronco was tiny compared to this thing, but I don't know. It's freaking awesome. It's probably going to be $1 million. It's going to be a very
probably.
long time before either of us can afford something like this.
The
but
best model is probably going to be released in Europe only. Because that's how Ford works.
I don't even know if they're getting these overseas. I'm not sure. I have a feeling that the Bronco is
It's strictly
much more
North America.
It's much more tailored to the U.S. market
It really
because
is.
we're the ones with the mountains and the. I mean, not that Europe. Obviously, Europe has the Swiss Alps.
I was
and
gonna say.
whatever, but like they're really dialing up like the cowboy thing and all that. So that's much more American.
As somebody who's
Americana.
been to Europe, you do not want to drive a big vehicle in Europe.
You're talking about London.
Well, in England in general, we went to England and we went to Scotland.
Oh, okay.
And most of the roads are old carriageways, so they're not big enough for a big vehicle.
Well, the M5 is
Oh, them
giant, but that's
Oh, yeah.
like the main
That's
artery.
modern. That's
yeah.
all modern. But you go
Most things
you
aren't
go
that.
through any of the old cities and towns that are there, and the roads just simply aren't big enough for a big Bronco or a
Yikes.
truck or anything.
Yeah, I can't imagine driving a truck over there. Well, I always have to get a kick out of it because even in the U.S., things I feel like are shrinking a tiny bit.
A little
And you
bit.
go to like parking garages, and there's some asshole who's got the biggest truck imaginable, and they always park on the outside most parking spot
Oh, yeah,
where
so you're
like you're making the
completely
loop
blind.
around. Yeah, it's just the most fucking
Yeah.
frustrating thing.
They're the idiots that when they pull in, they see the little plastic bar that tells you the height limit, and then they have to push it up, and then they
Yeah.
drive under.
Right? Yeah, I mean, what do you do if that's your only vehicle? But I don't know.
Do better.
I guess. Okay. But okay. I absolutely love this thing. So I'm excited to see what it's going to be like once they're actually here and they're driving on the roads.
Yeah, I'd like to see how much abuse they can actually take. because I mean, this is obviously a commercial, so they're going to show you all the best parts.
Right.
They're not
right.
showing you the part where the guy slides out onto the pavement right there, and then he's going to fix it on the side of the road or anything.
Yeah,
like that,
exactly.
You know?
Like a ball joint lets go and whatever.
Wheel bearing gets shot, whatever.
Yeah. It's so cool though. Like you can take the doors off of these things.
Yeah, which is sweet.
That's awesome.
That's like my favorite feature about the Jeep. So to see that on the Bronco
right.
is awesome.
I know the JK, which is the latest version of the Wrangler, is pretty sweet.
Are they just kidding about that? Or?
They are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are they serious?
The kidding part is that well, I was gonna crack a Fiat joke, but I actually don't know if the Wrangler is built by Fiat. I think that might still be Daimler.
You know what Fiat stands for, right?
No, what?
Fix it again, Tony.
Is that an Italian joke too?
That's a King of the Hill joke.
Oh, perfect. Fix it again, Tony. Jesus Christ. Well, I don't know. You got any final notes on the Bronco?
I like the mirrors.
Do you want to make a fourth kid in the back of one of them?
No.
Oh, the mirrors on the fenders?
Yeah.
I know.
That's so cool.
I know. I love that.
I keep seeing that, and I'm like, I had to do a double take. I'm like, is that the mirror?
I'm assuming the original had that. I mean, I don't know why else they would do that on a modern one.
Because they're Ford.
Well,
see, all the mirrors are up there in the middle.
I think it depends on the model, right?
Does it?
Maybe.
Or are those not mirrors? What are those?
I don't know. Oh,
I don't think those are mirrors now.
no.
Look at them.
Okay, I know what you're saying. I'm gonna guess that they're probably like brush guards or something like that. You know, like little
hood
deflectors
straps?
for brush.
Brush.
I don't know, dude. They're cool. They're fucking cool.
Brush.
Oh man. All right. Moving on.
Moving on from brush.
Moving on from brush.
You know, I got a bunch of brush in my yard if you want to have a fire tonight.
Oh my god. All right. Explain yourself, Steve Urkel.
So that is a old BMW.
When we talk about old BMWs, we don't talk about Izettas.
No, we do not talk about Izettas. These things are amazing. I've seen one in person. I've only seen one in my life, and it was at Back to the 50s years ago. And these are three-wheelers, which are crazy to begin with.
Right.
And to get into them, because they're so tiny, the whole front end of that car opens up, like pivots on the steering column.
Right.
It's super weird.
So have you guys ever seen Family Matters? Have you seen Family Matters?
Too young.
Oh my god, so when I made the post for today, you didn't even get the reference to Steve Urkel?
I know who he is.
You do know who he is,
Yeah, the
right?
nerdy guy with glasses.
So he drove one of these.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So he
I had
drove
no
one of
clue.
these in the show. It was, part of his appeal was like he's this nerdy,
How could
dorky
you
kid.
afford one of those? Oh, I guess back in the 90s?
It would have been in the 90s,
Okay.
yeah. So, I mean, back in the 90s, no one gave a shit about this because it was like, they were vintage, but they weren't like sought after vintage,
Yeah.
Now, now it's really old. That's a 58. I mean, that's an old ass, really hard to find car. So
You're almost that old.
I am not. I am not that old. Yeah, man. I don't know. I love these things. Like, I just love goofy old cars. It's why I love
Why
Studebakers. It's why I love Corvairs, old VWs.
You can tell that this car was made before safety standards, which is what I love about it. There's no way.
Okay.
There's no way that car could be made.
No
today.
shit, dude.
Well, yes,
the,
yes,
The front of the car opens up. Your crash zone is a door.
Okay, do you want to grab your shoulders and yank your head out of your ass? So what I'm saying here is because there's no safety standards, you get, like you said, you get all the weird shit,
Okay, yeah.
and that's what makes them so awesome. Like, I love it sounds scary, but the fact that in the old shoeboxes with the old steering columns and all that. Like,
Oh yeah, the spear of death.
Exactly.
They literally call the steering shafts the spear of death.
Because it doesn't break away or anything, so it just impales you.
It's a solid steering shaft that goes into a solid mounted steering box that attaches to the side of the frame.
Yeah.
So if you get into an accident, you're basically headbutting the frame
Pretty much.
in a little round package. It is the
It's just-
spear of death.
Old cars just amaze me in the fact that they don't care. No one thought of safety. I mean,
No.
look at the bus. You're the
You
front
are
bumper.
the crash
Yeah.
crash zone.
Yeah, there's no safety features on that.
No,
I have to
there's
put
not.
seatbelts in that thing.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that crazy to think like getting in a front end collision and not having a safety belt? Like you're just getting ejected.
Yeah.
Like you're maybe you're lucky that you like fall forward into the metal dashboard or the,
You
the
just have a
steering
concussion.
wheel.
You just forget about
A
everything.
concussion is best case scenario,
Yeah.
dude. Your face looks like I don't know. What's the dude from? Shit.
The dude from shit.
Dude from shit.
The poo monster in Dogma.
What?
The poo monster in Dogma.
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect example. You end up looking like the poo monster from Dogma. I keep wanting to say Little Rascals, but what's that other? It was filmed in Oregon. Kids movie.
The Goonies.
The Goonies. Exactly. What's his name? Kronk.
No clue. I've never seen it.
The dude from Goonies.
Never seen it.
You guys.
Kronk?
That dude. Is that what his name is?
Chonch.
Chaunch.
Chonch.
Crotch. I don't know. That guy.
Crash.
he looks like he headbutted a dashboard.
Oh, okay.
He's rough looking.
Is
He's
he?
rough looking. He's a real person. And
Yeah.
now I feel like an asshole saying that.
Yeah, but you're a real person, rough looking.
That's true. All right. So
fine.
moving on to the second image.
Yeah,
That's
this is
the
so cool.
interior that you're talking about.
Yep.
So yeah, I don't know
The
how
dashboard, everything just swings out of the way.
Well,
to kind of
okay,
climb in.
and so like looking at this, I mean, are we talking that the steering wheel? Oh wow! So the steering joint is the articulation for the steering wheel.
Yeah.
And the steering wheel moves with the front end.
with the door. It's technically the door. I don't know if
So you could steer the wheel.
by opening
You
and
steer
closing the door.
the wheels with the door open. Oh, that's so weird.
frickin'
That's so freaking weird.
Goofy. It's pretty much a souped up crazy coupe.
Yeah,
Not crazy coupe.
yeah, it
cozy
really
coupe.
is cozy coupe. It really
You'd
is. Like
definitely
a
be
kid's
cozy in
toy.
that. I also have a correction. That's not
They're
a,
so cute though.
I called it a three wheeler. It's got a rear axle, I believe.
Are those the exhaust?
I don't know. I think that's part of the bumper, isn't it?
They look like they're going into the car. I mean, I guess it could be a flange, like a mounting flange
Yeah,
for it, but it looks like if that's not the exhaust, I'm going to be disappointed.
No, that's not the. I'm pretty sure that's the bumper.
But how much? Although there's the second spot that'd be cool for the exhaust, and that's that crazy.
And I think
Balloon knot in the middle
that's
there.
what that is.
That's the exhaust output.
These pretty much had a moped motor in the back of them.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah. Oh man, they're so cool. It's crazy to think that it's a three wheeler. Like,
Is it three or is it just a small axle?
I
motor?
think it's a three wheel.
I'm not.
If you look at
100%
like
certain.
in Europe, they had the Reliant Robin, which Top Gear like made fun of to no end.
They tipped it over constantly.
Many times, and
tipped
it's the
itself
opposite
over.
where it's a single wheel in the front and two in the back.
Yeah. Which makes no
that
sense.
seems terrifying.
Yeah.
So this makes a lot more sense to have it this way.
That's so cool. Yeah, I think they won like $25,000 for it. So if anybody wants to write us a check, send to dadmodsofficial at gmail.com.
Yeah, let's check that out because I think it's back on the first one.
Yeah, this is
$30 grand.
30 grand.
30 grand. I don't think he's gonna get it for that thing. Maybe.
To the right guy. I think at that price, you're finding a collector. Or you're finding somebody who his dad had one growing up or something like that.
Yeah, that
grandma
could be.
had one. And he just wants to relive his childhood.
Yeah, that's actually a good way to put
That's
it.
probably how you're going to sell that.
Yeah. Well, here's the second thing, and this is what I found. So we're gonna save the other car that you had shared because you shared two,
I did share
and
too.
that was cool because that was helpful in case I didn't have time to find one for myself. But I happened to stumble across this.
Can I take a guess?
You will never guess this.
Z24 Cavalier.
No. I would love to find another. So that was like
God.
my third car. My third car was a 1989 Cavalier Z24.
Why?
It was awesome. Why? It was cool, man.
Cool. No.
It had the 31
Cavalier and cool do not go hand in hand.
It had a 3100 V6 in it, so it
Okay.
actually moved pretty good.
Okay.
It had like the ground effects kit from the factory, which is kind of cool looking for the era.
Yeah, but
it's not that bad
But
looking.
you live in Minnesota, so you hit one little patch of snow and that just rips right off.
Dude, I ran that thing into so many snowbanks, and it was fine. Ultimately, what ended the thing was some asshole, like some drunk asshole, hit it in the middle of the night, and I came out, and the whole rear end was all pushed in. It broke my heart.
You know, we
Were
actually
you that asshole?
no. I was probably 4 or 5 at the time.
Fuck you.
You know, we actually paid money for a car that was hitting the back end with the axle all pushed in.
Yeah,
the back.
well, back then I was lucky to be able to bolt an exhaust on. Like,
So
I
not
didn't
much has
exactly have a lot
changed.
of man. you're full of the lines tonight. Yeah, man. So here's what I found. It's an Avanti.
Avanti?
An Avanti.
I've never seen an Avanti, so you gotta fill me in on this. I've actually never seen one.
So the Avanti,
Like, you knew I had no clue.
I had to pull up a PDF on it because there's so much information. Because it's weird.
Do you have an Avanti? Is that an Avanti 2 or an Avanti 1? What's the difference?
Okay, so the Avanti, they came out in the 60s, was the original Avantis. And this thing has changed.
That's a 60s car?
That one isn't. That one's an 80s car.
Okay,
that one was like an 88, I think.
That looks 80s.
So that's like the Avanti 2. But the crazy thing is, like, from 1965 to 2006, they made these things. But it was under three different ownerships. So we had, 3 different ownerships on this thing. And they had a couple of different iterations of them. And mostly what I could find was the 80s ones in the images. I couldn't find any, like, super old ones. Like there's a 76 here, but that's it basically looks the same as this thing.
They look very similar.
But they're super cool because like the owner, the builders, built them in the style of a Studebaker, where they had.
That's where they got their inspiration from.
Yeah, it kind of had like the really goofy look to it.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So like they're actually fairly powerful too because they've ran V8s. They've ran small block Chevys and small block Fords from what I could find. We're talking 300 horsepower in that hideous thing. So
it's quick enough to get away from everybody so they don't see you in the Avanti.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Pretty much. So let's pull up the second image here. Interior's kind of cool.
Okay,
I mean,
I can
that's
dig that.
That's not terrible looking. It's definitely very 80s, but the steering wheel's super cool.
The steering wheel is very cool, and it looks like it's got bucket seats in it. I can dig that.
Well, they actually look like Recaros.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, they kind of do. I mean, that looks kind of similar to the Recaro 911 seats that you've got in your car, E30.
A little bit, but might say Porsche on them.
Right, and this isn't a Porsche, and yours isn't a Porsche, but there it is from the side. It's disgusting.
I will say this though. I think it looks better from the side than it does from the front. I think the front end is...
Could the same be said about your first girlfriend?
Most of them.
Nice.
Not talking about my wife, obviously.
Right.
She looks good from all the sides, especially the back. So I do like the side profile because it's got that kind of hatch notchback look to it, which I love that they were doing in the 80s. Like that's what I like about like the old RX-7s. The old Supras is they have that kind of notchback to them. So it's not too bad. It lacks imagination.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
It's like somebody's kid drew a car and the CEO was like, "Yeah, we're gonna make that."
Right. The kid grabbed out his ruler and just made a bunch of straight lines.
Dad, I made a car. Okay.
Yeah, I know it's not very pretty, but it's super cool, and I've like never seen one of these things before. He's looking for, how much was it again? $25,000 for that thing.
I would pay.
I don't know what it's worth.
I would pay $25. Mm-hmm. Maybe 30. 30 if it came with a full
Do you think we could
gas.
rallycross that thing?
It's got a V8, so I want to say yes. But something tells me the suspension's just garbage on it.
Yeah, it's probably horrendous.
I have a feeling the suspension's about as good as it looks.
It's not very good, man. Yeah. All right. So that's my marketplace find for the week. Pretty ridiculous. Pizza's amazing.
I like how we both found cars in the $25,000 to $30,000 range.
Yeah, which is weird because usually our cars find our files are shit.
And one of them we would both buy in a heartbeat, and the other one we're both like, you couldn't pay us to own.
Yep, pretty much. All right. So I alluded to this in the post, which I didn't give you any context on it.
No.
So, super cool. What we've got here is a 60s Corvair. Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty sure. Yep, good. I do have the info on this. There's a bit of info to follow up on here. Okay, so what we have, 60s Corvair pickup truck. This is what they look like. They're air-cooled rear. I think they're mid-engine. I think they're technically rear engine, just like the VWs.
So it's a supercar.
Sure, with like 65 horse. And some crazy dude in Minnesota did this.
Oh my God.
That's the same truck.
That's so freaking cool.
It's all steel. So this gentleman, we're based out of Minnesota. We're in Duluth, Minnesota, hence the A's and the weird way that I pronounce some words. This gentleman is in East Bethel, Minnesota, which is sort of middle of Minnesota. His name is Rich Waite. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. This is a 1961 Corvair rampside pickup that he chopped up and converted into this thing, which he widened and stretched, did some crazy-ass overlay fenders.
I think I remember reading about this one.
Oh, really?
Didn't he widen it by like 6 inches?
It's huge.
He cut it down the middle and took parts of another Corvair and added it to it.
You're thinking of a Datsun pickup.
Is that the one?
It was a Datsun pickup that they did that. But I think the widening is actually the giant fender flares. Now, take a look at this. The same angle. But, yeah, I think it's absolutely incredible looking. And one of the things I love the most about it is, like, the ground effects are actually made out of steel as well. If you look at that contours the whole side of the thing, so it gives it, like, this super streamlined look. And generally, when you're building ground effects, people are doing it out of fiberglass or composites, little easier materials to work with. This dude's doing it out of steel, which is insane.
I expect to see that at Walmart for 99 cents with the Hot Wheels.
Yeah, right? I know, that looks like that's something that Hot Wheels would have commissioned to be built.
Yeah, it's so cool.
And if you look at the picture, look at the shop. It looks like a fairly... typical, like, the guy put a lot of money into building a nice shop, a decent sized shop, but it's not like it's sitting at some crazy hot rod builder's shop or something like that,
Oh, this is somebody with time and
it's
was
probably
passionate
this
about what he's doing.
Incredible, talented dude, yeah. And then that's the kicker. This thing is powered by a twin turbo LS engine.
Well, of course it's an LS. Mm-hmm. See, that's the way to do it. Like, I was gonna question that. I'm like, okay. So your whole body kit, your wide body kit is all made out of steel. That's a lot of weight. Mm-hmm. What are you doing here? And to realize he did a completely open concept with pretty much a tube chassis.
Exactly.
And then a twin turbo LS. Like, he's fine.
Yeah, I know.
He saved weight where he could.
I know. That's the crazy thing is, like, this car is so... this truck is... just the build of it is just out of this world. And I love that every bit of it, the whole tube chassis setup, is built around the engine too. Mm-hmm. So it's just, the thing is, the weight is in the center. It's low. It's like, this thing's going to handle so good. I'm really curious to see what he did in the front end, but from what I read, this thing's a full adjustable coilover setup on it. And I don't know. I got a feeling this thing's just going to be an absolute monster. And it's in Minnesota. So my hope is that we see it at Power Cruise.
Hell yeah.
And now that we've got a name, I kind of want to message the guy and just see if we can get some more info on this thing.
Yeah, maybe he'll want to do an interview.
Maybe. I mean, that'd be amazing to go down there and actually take some pictures and film this thing.
I would love to talk to him about that.
I know. This is my shit. I mean, this is the shit that I live for, is people who build these like, I don't have talent at that level.
I was going to say, why am I doing this with a shoebox?
Yeah, right. I can hit something with a hammer. I can weld decently. Wide body shoebox would be pretty odd looking, but I'd consider it. If I find another chassis, I'd seriously consider building a drift.
I shared a chassis with you. That $1,500 one?
I
probably need
$1,500 for a rusty chassis. I don't know.
You paid $6,000. Well, it's not rusty. It's solid.
Yeah, but I mean, I just don't have $1,500 right now for that. Eventually, maybe.
If we had the time and we had the money, I would have definitely gone halves on you for that $1,500 one and just did something nuts like this.
Right.
Like,
set it on top of like a built to the nuts S10 frame or something like that, because you can do that. You can set them on an actual S10 frame.
Yeah, I would have just showed up at your doorstep like, grab your shit. We're building something.
We gotta go pick something up. Grab the OBS. We're picking something up. Yeah, I know.
God,
this thing's
so
just mind blowing.
Yeah, I see builds like that, and it's inspiring, but it's also a little sad at the same time. It's inspiring because I'm like, I want to do that. Mm-hmm. It's sad though, it's because like I don't have the time or the money to do that. Right.
Well, clearly, when we strike it big,
yeah,
doing videos on YouTube,
it's better than TikTok and OnlyFans.
I don't know, man. Dude, OnlyFans.
I don't think you and I could do an OnlyFans.
I want to see the payroll for OnlyFans right now, because everybody who's on, basically every attractive girl, I should say every, but a lot of attractive women, probably not married, single-ish. All of them have OnlyFans right now. everyone that's laid off, I guarantee it.
Probably.
They're building thirst traps, man. Well, we're building race cars, and they're making the money.
And what are you and I gonna do? Hang out with our dad gut and just be like, look at us.
Yes.
$7 a month.
Dad bods. I'll jiggle my flab for the people.
You want to see some tits? $7 a month.
Yeah. I don't know if those are the titties that you want to see, but they're the titties you're going to see. All right. So, second brewski of the night is a number 21 IPA. If you were to give it a name, if you were to give the IPA a name, what would it be?
Probably the messy IPA, considering you just got it all over the floor.
And my leg.
Actually, what's the 21 letter of the alphabet?
21st letter of the alphabet?
Yeah, 21st. Well, I can't.
The 21 letter
the
of the alphabet.
21 letter.
I don't know, dude. What is the...
You don't know?
I would love to see you do the math on that.
I'm not. I'd have to do the entire thing and write it down.
All right, so I'm going to try this. 21st letter of the alphabet. I love that I'm Googling it instead of... It's the letter U.
It's the letter U?
All right, so what are you going to call it?
The umbrella IPA?
The umbrella. That's the first word that came to my mind, too, was umbrella. Okay. Unibrow.
The unibrow?
We'll call it the India Pale Ale Unibrow.
It's an IPA, so I'm assuming it's hoppy, right?
I'm just going to stop talking. I was about to crack a racist-ass joke.
Oh, don't do that.
We're not going to do that.
No. I'm assuming it's really hoppy because it's an IPA, right?
I don't know. I haven't drank it yet.
If you were a child and somebody said, describe hoppy, the up.
The up. Is that what your daughter would say?
Oh, yeah.
Has your daughter ever tasted beer?
Well, I mean, I've talked to her when I was inebriated. Mm-hmm. So she smelled beer.
She smelled it. That's a form of consumption. Sure. Oh, man. All right. All right, so what else have we got going on here? Let's go back to video topic number 2.
Ooh, Porsche.
All right, so we talked about this last week a little bit, I think.
Did we? I have no recollection. Oh, wait. We talking about cars that are going to become... God, my mind's drawn up.
That's amazing.
They're like positive? Like, no, it's not
okay,
positive.
So, basically, like, in our...
Classics.
Yes, they become the new modern classics. So, in our lifetime... we've seen a lot of cars from our youth become the new classics.
Yes.
The highly sought after. The value on them have skyrocketed.
I can think of one right at the top of my head.
Go with it. What is it?
The NA Miata.
Oh, right. First generation Miata.
That's gone up so much.
It's so funny.
For a clean Miata.
That's a really good example of a car that never should have skyrocketed in value. Oh, here's one that shot up and shot the fuck down as fast as it went up. Mark II Golfs.
I could see that. I could definitely see that.
It surprised the hell out of me. Like, Volkswagens got really popular for a minute, and then they just shot down. Like, it was just crazy. Like, all of a sudden, you'd see Mark II GTIs for like $5,000-$6,000. And now they're back down to like $2,500 for really clean ones.
Unless it's an air cooled. Air cools are constantly going up.
Air cools are like sitting at, yeah. It depends on like how common they are. The Bug is obviously like the most common car ever, but
even a clean Bug is still going for like 6 or 7K.
If it's really clean.
If it's really clean.
If it's clean, if it's like running perfect, if it's got a bigger motor in it, for sure. Yeah. So, okay, what we were going to talk about was just like what's going to be the next one. So, what we've seen in our lifetime, NA Miata.
Yeah, that one's
super good example. The biggest ones are the Porsche 911. Mm-hmm. So that's basically a 911 from the 70s
to like
into late 80s, early 90s.
I was saying like 91 or 92, wasn't it?
Yeah, basically like any 911 or any variant, 964, whatever like the beefy versions of them are. They've all skyrocketed in value. And the funny thing is when I was younger, when I was a kid, they were basically giving these things away. You could get like a 964 for like $7,000, $6,000, which is nothing. And they were only like 15, 20 years old at the time. And to think like now these things are worth, they're some of it, like nice ones are fetching over $100,000. A 911 Turbo, crazy expensive.
Yeah, I think people finally figured out how awesome, not only how awesome they are, but like how hard they're just becoming defined.
They are, and they're
super
just
hard to find
special.
now.
That's one of the things is like the 911 is people crack a joke because like they're basically a bug. Which they're not. They've got a different suspension, different steering, a lot of different things, but a very similar concept. Yeah, it's same engineer. You know, it's a Ferdinand Porsche.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
Yeah,
think
Ferdinand
right.
Porsche. Great if I butchered that. So he was the same designer of all of it. So you know, there's obviously like a very similar. Design behind it with the sort of modular components, with the floor pan is separate from the body and all that kind of
Box
thing.
engine in the back and all that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But what makes these cars so special is like driving them. It's a high horsepower 6-cylinder in the back, incredibly well balanced, air cooled, so they have a really unique sound. It's like a high performance motorcycle engine behind you, and just driving these cars, there's just nothing else like it. And it sounds cheesy.
I've never driven one.
It sounds like a Magnus Walker kind of line, but that's exactly what it is. It's like there's nothing like driving an air cooled, especially a 911. So it's no surprise that those things skyrocketed, and then the obvious one being the Mark IV Supra.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like-
Those. I don't think you can blame Fast and the Furious. I don't think it helped. But I think people just realized like the 2J is like one of the best motors of all time.
Yeah, it is.
They're gorgeous looking cars, and you can make pretty much unlimited power on them, and they're not going to blow up.
I don't even know if you have to crack them open to make 1,000 horsepower.
I think you can make 1,000 horse on stock bottom end.
Yeah,
if I remember right.
you might need a like head studs.
Yeah,
That might be one of the only things you might need head studs.
You might have to do head gasket on it. Wow.
Yeah.
Bummer.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
we had one locally actually that was making 1,000 wheel horse on a stock bottom end. It's just amazing.
Jesus.
Yeah, for a little while there, at least when we had custom concepts around.
I remember being in high school and seeing the first couple 1,000+ horsepower supers that came out and all that, and it was big news. All the car magazines were like, "Holy shit! Look at this! This is so cool! This is awesome!" And now you see one that's like, "Oh, it's 1,500 horsepower." You're like, okay, and what else can it do?
Yeah, it's pretty tremendous. So now the question is, what's going to be the next?
I have a guess. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say maybe not the first gen, but I'm going to say the second gen DSM. Second gen Eclipse and Talon.
Uh-huh.
I think they're better looking than the first gens. Mm-hmm. So I think they're right on that tipping point. They're still kind of a high school fun car, but I think people are going to realize how cool looking they are, how pretty good the 4G63 is.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and it's a turbocharged all-wheel drive.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of like power potential in a motor,
Yeah.
The 4G is
cheap
basically the ultimate 4-cylinder engine. Like I don't think
Almost.
you top it. Like
Almost.
those motors, they make insane amounts of power. I mean, they were like one of the first. They actually might have been the first 4-cylinder into the 6s.
I think you're right on that.
Is it them or Honda?
I think you're right on that.
Yeah, absolutely incredible amounts of power get pulled out of those things. But the problem is the transmissions can't handle them, and they're prone to a lot of issues, a lot of quirks.
Well, it's because the transmissions were driven by high school kids nonstop.
And that's precisely it. That's part of the problem. Now we're seeing it happen with Subarus, where it's like all of the young dudes, they want to build a turbocharged car from the factory because you can put a boost controller on it, crank the boost up, and to make a lot of power for about a week, and then you're gonna,
so
blow
you're
apart your
paying
bottom end.
$6,000 for a WRX or something like that. That's gonna blow up on you the next weekend, and it smells like vape. So you're screwed
And then there's
regardless.
the vape issue.
Yeah.
Yep.
So speaking of Subaru, I would put what is it?
The 2.5 RS.
Not quite. I think it will be. I don't think it's quite old enough yet to hit that yet. Mm-hmm. I think if we had the 2.2B in the States, then yes.
Oh yeah, that's already doing it.
Yep, but the 2.5 RS I think is still a little ways out. The first gen Legacy Turbo. I can't think of. There's a special name for it. I can't think of what it's called though.
Oh god,
It's not the Legacy SS. They had a special name for it though.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. Yeah, it's got the 22T engine in it.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's a partially closed deck, 2.2 liter turbocharged engine. It's one of their best motors they ever made.
Yeah, and I think that'll become highly sought after. I think people realize how it's like one of the few boosted Subarus you can just beat the shit out of, and it doesn't care.
Yeah, pretty much, man. I know it's like, I wonder when the rotaries are going to get their attention. Like, it's interesting. The FD3S, which is like the 94, 92, 92, 97, somewhere in that era.
It's 93, I think.
93?
I'll spell the difference. I think
93 and 97. The FD3S is the sort of the upper echelon of the RX-7s. Like, that's sort of their peak of it. In Japan, they made them until, I think, 2001. Incredible cars. Probably one of the most gorgeous Japanese cars ever made.
Oh, I completely
Maybe the most gorgeous.
Top 3 probably for me. I would put the NSX most likely number 1 for me.
NSX is pretty beautiful.
I think the NSX is number 1. The FD is in that list, though.
R32 Skyline's up there for me, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the FD, what's interesting is, like, they're valuable, but they're not seeing what the Mark IV Supra is, even though they're about as rare. I feel like they're about as common.
I completely agree there. I think what scares people is the rotary.
Yeah.
It's the spinning Dorito, and nobody knows how to work on it.
Right, yeah. It's a little more finicky.
I can think of one person that I know, and I don't even know the guy. I just can think of one person that knows how to work on them.
Yeah, right. We got a guy local, Mike Janisek.
Yep. Yeah.
Who he runs IED Racing, which he's got an FC3S, which is the second generation, and it runs 9s, I think.
It's either 8 or 9s.
Yeah,
it's super quick,
crazy fast. It's a vert too. It's a convertible. Thing is crazy quick. He's always building pretty much any rotary that comes into the shop, whether it's carbureted or it's fuel injected. He can build it, and he's local here to us. I think he's in Superior, Wisconsin, which is like basically our sister city.
You can see it from our house.
Exactly. But yeah, I think you're onto something. You know, it is part of the issue. There aren't pistons. It is a spinning Dorito, so maybe that's like the witchcraft that's involved in that scares people off.
I think it will spike though once people kind of get over that fear. Mm-hmm. Like, I think that's why the Supra you're seeing quicker, but then I think the FD is probably a good 5 or 6 years behind it, in my opinion. But see,
I definitely think you could be right there. Yeah, if there's ever an aftermarket for it, it's going to be right now, and that's the bummer. Is like, I feel like if people are going to catch on, they got to catch on now to it, because if you don't support the aftermarket, especially during like this era when we're dealing with this whole pandemic and how like that's affecting supply chains and nobody's got any money and all that kind of stuff, nobody's buying shit right now.
I mean, Menards came in stock light boxes.
That was insane.
Boxes. So who's going to supply RX-7 parts for you?
Yeah, no kidding. It's got to be affecting the parts.
I'm sure it is.
I mean, I've got my build going on, which is LS swapping the shoebox.
And I'm buying parts for
a million other things.
And it's taken a while.
Yeah, to find stuff. I don't know. And that's the thing is, like, I bought everything. Like, as soon as I saw it, the Holly... I don't want to give away what I'm doing. I'll tell them.
Who's Holly?
Who's Holly? Call back to the very first episode. So putting a Sniper EFI on an LS, and when I was watching some of the parts companies, like I don't think Summit ever ran out, but there was a couple of them that I saw that started running out of Sniper EFIs, and Holly was running out of the refurbished ones. So I was like, shit, I gotta buy all this like now. I'm not gonna get midway through the build and then just like not be able to find the parts that I need. So when I saw that starting to happen, it got me a little bit nervous. So, and in thinking about this this conversation about like what's going to be the next classic and the FD, I wonder like what's going to happen with the supportive aftermarket, because it's already happened with DSMs. Yeah, like DSMs are not as common. Like, I think Magnus is still around. I think Han Racecraft is still around. I think Shepherd has moved on to something else. Shepherd built incredible transmissions, and I don't think he's focused on DSMs anymore.
I can see that, though. If the market's not there, obviously they're going to move.
Right?
Plain and simple.
I know, it's like they're getting more rare to find a good DSM these days.
Oh, and everyone with their LS Swap Nation shit going on, too. I feel a lot of the transition's been towards LSs.
Yeah.
You've seen a lot more kits to, bolt an LS to a 350Z trans and motor mount kits and stuff like that.
Right.
Less of the kind of weird stuff that you used to be able to find.
I know, isn't that the truth? Yeah, and I guess that just happens. Like when you have affordability, it's common. It's the easiest thing in the world to find. And we can debate, and maybe we'll talk about that in a future podcast where we actually talk about like the affordability of the LS, because I think somebody needs to actually shed some light on this. It's like it is in some ways, but we won't go into that. Won't deep dive on that right now. You can build one cheap, but yeah. I think like it varies on what you're trying to do. If you're simply just swapping it, it might not be the cheapest for your platform. Yeah. If you're swapping something and you're trying to make big power, there's nothing cheaper than it. But
fair enough. I'll give you that.
If you want to make 800 horsepower, an LS versus a 2JZ or an LS versus a built 1UZ or
SR20
LS versus
or something like that.
A SR20 or a Barra or whatever, nothing is going to be quite as cheap as a LS and a eBay parts list.
It costs money. It costs more money up front, but it's cheaper in the long run.
I think so.
Yeah, I think
in some cases. And also like the whole standalone thing, you know. I mean, you can make the factory ECUs work. Which is where the money savings comes in, because you can basically get an entire swap for like $250 to $300. You just got to figure out the transmission. All right, So what else we got here?
The
400Z,
the side by side.
The side by side. So we'll breeze through this. We've talked about it at length in the other podcast, but I just wanted to share this with you guys because I love this.
So the side by side looks good. Next topic. I think side by side they look really good in my opinion.
They look really similar.
Yeah.
You can see like how much the designers took from the original to put into the new one.
I like how in the on the dash, in the center console there, you got the 3 bezels for gauges in both cars. That's kind of cool.
Right? Isn't that awesome?
That's super cool.
I know. It's like there's so many little things. The seats even. Like you can tell like they're not the same, but they're similar. Like they're pretty similar. Taillights, obviously, very close.
It's kind of that sharper edge to it. Which
exactly.
Which I like.
Exactly. Yeah, and so you can look at the whole rear end, and
such a good looking car.
It's actually pretty similar.
Yeah, it's very similar. I mean, they're both yellow, and that's one thing I said when we first went over this. The new Z is it does pay a lot of tribute to the original Z car, and I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, I agree, man. I agree.
Hell yeah.
All right, so let's we'll talk a little bit about where Dad Mods is at. So Dad Mods is our main channel.
Yep.
It is where all the fun happens. It's where all the builds take place.
Yes.
It's I shouldn't say where all the fun happens because
this is pretty fun.
This is a fucking blast.
That's pretty fun.
What we're doing, we're working on the Shoebox Ford. Episode 7 is the latest one. We are actually completely caught up. Normally we film things ahead of time, wait to put out the video so that we have sort of a nice flow to it where each week we've got an episode coming out.
Between baby and housework and life, and I am actually gone for a few weeks for training for work. We just haven't had a whole lot of time. That's what it comes down to. Plain and simple.
Yep, so we ended up with videos kind of catching up to us. But so what we're working on now, and the reason why there's an LS sitting behind me, is now we've pulled the motor back out, and we're going to be beautifying it and kind of building the components for it and tossing it back in.
Exactly. So finally do all that. We got to clean up the firewall still. Everything is pull it apart.
Yeah, we've got some paint work to do.
So we have a couple episodes we're kind of working on for you guys.
Yeah, we do. And actually, we're going to be showing you guys how to build a powder coating booth as well. So that's we haven't shown you guys how to powder coat, and we might do a video on that later on where I actually
don't know what I'm
share
doing.
My knowledge because I've been powder coating for a long time.
It's just an episode of Jake just yelling at me constantly for doing it wrong.
Honestly, it's pretty forgiving unless you're trying to do fancy stuff.
I'm not trying to do fancy.
So it's fairly forgiving. So we're going to be doing a powder coating booth video showing you guys how we're putting it together to actually put a kind of a drafting system into it that's going to pull the powder into filters so it improves air quality. I've upgraded my gun. I've upgraded a bunch of equipment, so it's going to be exciting to kind of show you guys what we got going on.
Oh, yeah.
So that's coming up. I don't know if that video will be out before the episode 8 of the Shoebox, but
it's possible.
Maybe.
Depends.
Yep. So expect to see that. If you guys haven't watched episode 7 yet, it's where we put a whole new steering system into the Ford. It was really exciting to put this thing together because at the end of it, not only was I holding like a beautiful steering wheel, but the wheels finally turned.
Yeah, I know. I mean, putting the steering column in, I mean, it pulled us in all sorts of directions, but eventually we got it straightened out and steered in the right direction.
Oh,
and,
great. You're milking it for everything it's worth, man.
Yeah. 100%.
Jesus Christ.
But yeah, it's a fantastic episode. It was a lot of fun. And it's nice to finally move on from that step and on to the next one.
Yeah, I 100% agree, man. And we've got an old BMW that's going to be the next build.
Yeah.
And expect to see that all winter long because it's going to be a huge build.
Oh, and not to mention the years of footage that we haven't even shared with you guys.
Yeah.
So that'll be coming out.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometime.
So that's going to be really cool. I mean, that's probably going to be the better half of a year, majority of a year.
I would say probably 6 months.
Of all the videos and all, like, everything. I mean, all the way down to a crazy
Racing
adventure
experience.
we took, which was driving how many miles?
A lot. We went through 4-ish states.
So we went down to Kansas and back, and we did a little bit of racing when we were down in Kansas.
After Jake said not to break the car.
Yeah. And it didn't break, but it also definitely did kind of break. We'll show you guys.
It has heart. It brought us home.
It did. It did. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about events.
Yep.
So we've got an event coming up called the Frankensteiners Ball, which you have not been to yet.
And I won't be able to this year, and I'm pissed about that.
I know. Well, and it was sort of
weird.
last minute for me to figure out that I probably can go. Brand new baby, so it's always tricky. It's always touch and go in the beginning.
As opposed to the old new baby.
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, yeah, I've got a 2.5-year-old, two and 3 months.
But then he's not a new baby. He's just a baby.
Well, he's the old new baby. Like, because he was a new baby. He's only 2 and 3 months, so he's still fairly new. I mean, that's new, dude. I'm 37. 2 is pretty fucking new compared to 37.
But if you have a pair of shoes for 2 years, are they new shoes?
No.
Okay, then.
No.
They're just shoes.
That's a weird comparison, but I can respect that. Yeah, so this event's coming up. The poster is obviously very hard to see.
Yep.
So okay, the style of it, you can kind of glean what the event is about based on the picture here.
Cars.
It's very much a kind of old hot rodders event where you're going to see a lot of rat rods. You're going to see kind of the classics.
A lot of custom builds.
Yeah, it's definitely going to have that kind of rat rod rockabilly vibe to it. They've got music. They've got a burnout contest. They've got a bunch of food vendors. Be interesting to see how they do it in the time of COVID. So,
all right.
but they're going to pull it off. I mean, but it's very much that old school style.
I'm a little jelly.
It's fun.
We're going to a pumpkin patch, which is still gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun family day.
But you know, it's a fun family day.
Yeah, I know.
Frankensteiners Ball, man.
Yeah, my wife was really excited about this pumpkin patch, so it'll be fine. It'll be good.
Yeah.
And Harper wants to get pumpkins. We went to Menards the other day, and she's like, "I want to get a pumpkin." No.
When you have kids, that statement makes so much more sense.
Oh, yeah.
There's like, they're
sacrifice.
really excited about the pumpkin patch.
Yeah,
And I'm just sitting here thinking, like, that is the lamest thing I've ever heard. But there's so many things that I'm starting to get really excited about that I used to think were super lame. And now that I've got kids, I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait to, all these things, trick-or-treating, which isn't a good example because I love trick-or-treating, but.
Clearly.
So, anyways, this event's going to be going on here. It's taking place in central Minnesota, Itasca County Fairgrounds, I believe is where it is. I've gone in past years. It's an absolute blast. The shit that comes out is, if you ever seen Rat Rod magazine, it's a lot of the vehicles that you'd see in the Rat Rod magazine. It's so good.
Awesome.
It's such a good time.
Yeah, you have to show me pictures. We'll definitely have to talk about that.
If I make it down, I'm going to snap a bunch of pictures, and then, we'll bring it back and we'll share it with you guys. So, last thing to touch on, our final Machines and Caffeine for the year is taking place here in October on the 18th.
I will not be there. I will be in Kansas City.
You'll be there in spirit.
Sure.
Maybe.
Sure. I'll send thoughts and
Something like
prayers.
that. Oh, that's effective. So I'll be there. And I'm actually going to have to figure out who's going to come and help me since your lame ass is working.
I can send my dog.
He's old, man.
Yeah, he is old. And he's pretty fucking useless, but he's a good boy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he'll probably put more smiles on people's faces than you would have.
Yeah, probably. He's definitely nicer.
That's true.
Easier on the eyes.
Fair enough.
You just can't drive stick.
Yeah. Well, have you let him try?
He's actually never been in the BMW.
He's never.
And he will never be in that car.
Black interior, furry dog.
That and he's just, I don't want him to tear the seats. And
Fair enough.
The kids are lucky they're in that car.
Yeah. In your 86 BMW.
I love that stupid thing.
I do too.
It's such a pile of shit.
It's
but
a
I love
great
that
car. Yep, so that's coming up. If you guys aren't familiar with what the Machines and Caffeine events are, it's a cars and coffee style event with our take on it.
Yep, it's a local event that is just bring out whatever you want to bring out. Simply just hang out for a few hours, get free coffee. Ursa Minor opens up if you want to go get a beer. The back alley, which helps us put this on, opens up. You can go in and buy knickknacks, whatever they have going on. Yeah. Everyone's super friendly, and it's just pretty much a hang sesh for, like I said, a few hours.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good time. Yeah, the back alley is pretty cool too because you get it's such a variety. It's a pop-up shop.
Yeah, knickknacks wasn't the right word to use.
Oh no, there definitely are.
But it's like it changes every time I'm there. There's different.
There's something new, and that's kind of the beauty of it. I think that's what works so well about the business is that there is a cycle. There's a variety of things that are in there. Everything from it's the place to go to for surfing gear. So we're in Duluth, Minnesota, which is I want to say Park Point is the longest freshwater beach in the country.
Okay.
And it's Lake Superior, so we get crazy storms. So sometimes we get massive waves, big enough that you can actually surf on a lake.
Yeah, I mean, they even wrote a song about it.
The Edmund Fitzgerald. What is it? The something of Edmund Fitzgerald?
I don't know.
Leo Kottke?
I know. I think it was something like that. Though.
Yeah. And so this place, you can actually buy all of your surfing gear there, which is super cool. Wetsuits, the actual surfboards that are locally made, all that cool shit. Lots of local artisans, bags.
Very cool. Yeah. Lots and lots of local, which is the way to do it.
Yeah, it really is. Yep, so that's going on. And what else we got? We got anything else to talk about?
No, just the closing music.
Closing music, which
I'll talk about.
Yes, you're stoked.
Yeah, so first off, I got two shout-outs. The first one goes to my buddy Tim, who may or may not be watching this, but he hooked me up with a dude named Adam, who is in a band. He's the lead singer of a band called the Slamming Doors. They're kind of a Americana rock band. Super talented. Adam's got a great set of pipes, and Adam also does some solo work that I saw him perform last night, and it's really, really good. So they have an event coming up on the 24th of October over at Earthrider. It's free. It's an outdoor event. Going to be, and I quote, a bitchin' time, is the way Adam described it to me. But I think it's going to be a blast. I should be in town for that, so I'm going to try to get the wife over there and maybe do a date night.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Very, very talented group of guys and local, which is always fantastic. So here they are to close us out with their newest video / I don't think it's the newest song, but they released a video a few days for it. The song is called Grown Man.
Nice.
Which neither one of us are.
No.
Because we act like children.
Age is a state of mind. So thank you very much, guys, for joining us to episode 16.
Sure.
Wow, God, we've been doing this for 16 weeks.
Yeah. It has a driver's license.
Wow, that's craziness. Yeah, no kidding. It's time to get pulled over.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for joining us, guys. We'll see you next week. More than likely not with a live podcast, the pre-recorded, because you guys don't want to listen to me talk for an hour and a half.
No, I don't want to listen to you talk for an hour and a half.
Exactly. So thank you very much. Let's close this thing out.
Slamming doors.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Lying awake on the couch, cold but that television blue. Out on the town doing God knows what, with God knows who. forget what you know. It's gonna take a grown man, takes a grown man to let you go. But I'm nothing but a child wearing a grown man's clothes. Give me a reason why. Oh, give me a reason why. The fresh ink of love can fade over time. I'm lying awake on the floor. Oh, but that ceiling fan goes round and round. You got to change it, baby. Take a heart.